All right, let me know if the audio is good. Is the audio good? Maybe not. There we go. All right. Good? Awesome. All right. So, I was not expecting 91 of you already. Holy cow. Must be because I don't know, posted that on Snapchat about the 9RX. But first things first, Goliath is not gone. He's just. What we did was, after I pressure washed it, which phenomenal weather there for a little while, in the first part of November to get stuff washed and cleaned up. So I immediately got the combine blown off and pressure washed. And we were going over some stuff, and we happened to see a possible leak on the rotor drive there. So we don't know if a seal is going out or what the deal is there. So Dad asked me straight out, he's like, what do you want to do? Do you think we can tackle that? Or do you want to just go to Green Mark anyways? Because we had to have Green Mark come out anyways because there's an air leak on the turbo, and that has been there since the day we bought that on auction. And we did not know what the heck it was. We've had a few service techs come out on other little odds and ends on it, and we've asked them, and we asked the one, and he's like, well, I'm not entirely sure on that. Well, when we had our salesman out this past would have been about 3 weeks ago, well, no, probably about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, Dad asked him, and he's like, yeah, that's this and this, and there's a DTAC solution for it. And so basically it would have had, either they would have had to come out, or we would have had, necessarily didn't have to go in, they would have just had to come out and fix that air leak on the turbo. But I said, looking at this, we're going to have to tear this apart, tear that idler off, tear this apart, tear the side panel off, and figure out how to unbolt that rotor drive, lift that rotor drive out of there, tear that rotor drive apart, and figure out what is the problem. And the internet is bad. Well, I'm doing the best I can there. So anyways, we ended up getting Green Mark out, and they picked the combine up and took it over to Plymouth. And we decided to go ahead and have them do it. So they actually already tore into it. We actually weren't even on a waiting list for that, which Dad was kind of surprised about. But I told Dad, I'm like, I don't think anybody really has their combine ready for inspections. We don't do combine inspections. We don't have our dealer do that. So that's all we're doing. We're just having them do the rotor drive and the air leak on the turbo. We did figure out, well, actually, I figured out from you guys messaging me on Snapchat about what the deal is with that variable speed chopper, that DTAC solution with the spring. We're going to look into that, but we think there could be some wearing there on the pulleys in there. So we're going to take a look at that when we get that back, either now or sometime early next summer. So not really too concerned about that, because really we have to do some work a little bit, and otherwise that will be good to go for next summer. So do I like John Deere? Eric? Oh my God. No, I'm going to be a diehard Case fan here. Eric Boynton's going to be selling me all Case equipment here. So, did we get rain? So, yes. As far as how much, I don't know. It's been blowing like crazy all day today. 40, 50, 50, 40 to 50, 55 mile an hour wind gusts. And got some rain starting around 8 o'clock last night. And pretty much rain till 10:30 this morning, kind of off and on, really. But yeah, so we have been done harvesting since, I would say, the first part of, what was it? It was like the first part of November, first week of November, beginning of the second week of November. So I can't remember the day, to be honest, guys. But so been done for quite a while. The reason why I'm just still posting videos is because I was literally originally a week behind. Now I'm about a week and a half behind on videos, I think. Well, currently, as of today, I'm about a month behind, I should say. But harvest videos will run till, let me look at the calendar here, probably till, I would say, about the 23rd in there. I'm basically posting a video every single day from now until, I've got videos scheduled from now until Thanksgiving Day, which that ties in perfectly with the 9RX, because that is when that 9620RX video will be dropping. So big shout out to Greenmark Equipment. This was kind of a last minute deal here with the demo. Technically, this was in the works for a little while on doing this demo for a couple weeks. I just didn't know what the time frame was on getting it. And actually, we were just about done with vertical tillage and did not know if we were actually going to get the opportunity to run this or not. But then pretty much the stars aligned, and it was going to be on Monday. Well, actually, it was going to be coming out tomorrow, and I was going to go down to Knox and pick it up. But the salesman called me yesterday morning and said, "Hey, here's the deal. You guys know it's at Knox because you guys went and got filters and saw it there. Instead of waiting till Monday, why don't you just come and get it? And do you feel comfortable driving it?" And I'm like, "Tell me the basics on the transmission and I'll be good to go." He's like, "All right, so you got a mode here and you got mode here, mode 1 and 2. He's like, "This is what you got to do. It's a power shift with an IVT. It's E18. So, and he gave me a brief description and rundown on how to drive it. Got there, drove it home, and checked that out for a little while. And he gave me a call and said, "All right, I'll be out around 1 o'clock," because I guess he had some stuff to do at Plymouth. And he came out and gave me a brief overview of the True Set on how to run that, which True Set, if you guys have not run John Deere True Set on any piece of tillage equipment from John Deere, try that out. It's unbelievable. I mean, True Set I'm blown away on True Set. I mean, that's cool. The Gen 4 displays, for those of you that are kind of on the fence on Gen 4s, if you're like running 2600s and want to jump over 2630s into Gen 4s and kind of on the fence of, should I get a 2630 or should I jump all the way to Gen 4? I would totally jump right into to the Gen 4s if you're at like a 2600, or I don't know how many of you guys actually run 1800s, but that's it's phenomenal. The Gen 4, like the customization and stuff. I mean, you'll see in the videos. I mean, I don't do any customizations in the video on them, but because I just didn't have time. Technically, I only had allocated 3 hours. Well, technically, it was originally, put 40 or 60 acres on it. Just watch the acre count and do that. And he's just like, "Well, how much do you actually have to do?" And I'm like, "Well, I've got 120 acres here." He's like, "Well, put about 3 hours on it." Well, 3 hours turned into 5 because I had a whole group of neighbor kids come down and check it out, which they thought it was awesome. And they all took a turn and rode in it. And I don't know how many neighbors came out and rode with me. And I'm 95% sure I got that tractor sold to one of them. They were blown away on, they run a case quad track, and they were blown away about the John Deere over their case that they currently run. Now, I don't know. I'm not going to get any of the details onto that. All I know is that they run a case quad track. I'm not going to say size or anything. It's comparable size. I don't know the year. I personally have never drove a case quad track. I've drove a case 4-wheel drive before. Don't know the year of it offhand. That was like probably 10 years ago. Literally, it's still at the neighbors, that same four-wheel drive, but I just don't know the year. I believe it was like a 385, I want to say. I just can't remember. I mean, he still has it, but I personally, I mean, I've never drove a 9RX before. I've never drove a new style four-wheel drive before. The only drive I have ever driven was of the tomato growers have a 9400 that we run ground to for them to raise tomatoes on, and they had a guy that clocked out at 5 o'clock. Their hired guy. They had a guy running their disc ripper, and they're like, yeah, this guy's going to clock out at 5 o'clock. We'll get this field finished tomorrow. And Dad's just like, you mind if Keith drives it? He's just like, yeah, sure. And he goes like, it's just like your 9400T, and it's just a four-wheel drive. And he's like, have you ever drove one? I'm like, no. He's like, well, you got a big open 60-acre field to play with it. It's in your field. He's like, you guys know the field, so have at it. So after one round, it's just like the 9400T about pointing it where you want it to go and turn anticipation. Those of you that have never drove a four-wheel drive, it's kind of hard to explain, but those of you that have driven four-wheel drives understand what I'm talking about. It's totally different, and it takes some definite getting used to. The 9RX is obviously the same way. It's quite a tractor to drive. So otherwise, I mean, I think that's not a $500,000 tractor. That's actually a $436,500 tractor. But still, I can see why it's worth $500,000. It's quite impressive. So that's really all I'm going to say about the 9RX until the video releases. The 2660 VT, I'll talk a little bit on that. The 2660 VT, we did bring the Great Plains out on the 8530 and ran that side by side. It's quite interesting. There's a boatload of steel in it, just like our Great Plains, it seems like. I'm not really understanding the tongue on it. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, you'll see in the video. There's quite a heavy-duty tongue on the rear of it. And I was asking the salesman about it, and he's like, well, that's to pull a harrow behind it or another rolling basket, safe like from Unvenfirth with the cover crop seeder on it. I'm like, well, wouldn't you just be better off to remove that tongue, which is probably a $5,000 option based on how much steel is in that tongue, and just mount the seeder directly onto the 2660, which I believe, looking on John Deere's website, they make a Montag kit now for the 2660 VT. So wouldn't you just be better off doing that instead of, I don't know, having a giant boat of a tillage equipment then at that point? Because it's like you already have a double rolling basket called the Pro Finish leveling system on the 2660 VT. Wouldn't you just be better off, instead of having a third rolling basket, just mount that right there on the 2660 VT and just be done with it? I mean, that's my opinion. I mean, you're going to save more wear and tear and bearings and stuff, but otherwise, I mean, it had quite a few acres through it. Those of you that understand tillage equipment will see that in the video. There was a boatload of acres on it. I'm going to talk to the salesman. Probably tomorrow he'll be swinging past, more than likely, and I'll ask him exactly how many acres he estimates has been through that by. There's quite a few acres on it, and I think it was a little bit more worn out than what ours is, and ours is about half shot to begin with. Our Great Plains, we're probably going to have to reblade that, and I'm guessing probably 2022 or 2023, I'm guessing. I doubt we'll make it past 2023, though. Did a good job. It seemed like I had to set that a little bit more aggressive to make it more just as comparable, or to make it comparable to the Great Plains. Our Great Plains, we didn't have to set as aggressive to match the 2660. It just seemed like we needed to set the 2660 to be more aggressive to match our Great Plains, just because of the blades on it. It's the Pro Finish leveling system I really like. It really levels the field off and takes all the fluffiness out of the residue. Our Great Plains seems to leave the residue a lot fluffier after it goes across the field. So, but yeah, that's really all I'm going to say about the 2660. Absolutely love the true set. Absolutely love the 9RX. As far as comparison, what I think is better between the 2660 and our Great Plains, I'll leave that until the video, which again, that will be dropping Thanksgiving Day. So, but yeah, so that's all I'm really going to say about it. So, what's, my God, the questions. Where to start here? Did I want to demo an X9 this fall? Yeah, I would have loved to demo an X9 this fall, but we're actually done. We've been done for about a couple weeks now, so maybe next year. So. Okay, you're good on my. Okay. Hey Ben, I really appreciate that. Okay, love John Deere, good deal. Yeah, definitely go subscribe to Dirt Grain and Steel. He definitely deserves a lot more followers than what he currently has and a lot more views. He makes awesome content, and he's also a neighbor of mine, somewhat, if you can call us neighbors. I mean, I consider us neighbors just down in North Judson, and I highly recommend his channel. So definitely go check out Dirt Grain and Steel, guys. Did the 8530 throw that engine code anymore? So, no. And that's it. It still makes me nervous, but it makes me wonder if it has something to do with the computer board that we just literally replaced in it shortly after that code threw. So, or shortly before that code threw. So I'm wondering if it was just a glitch in the computer board. I mean, who knows? Haven't had a single issue with it yet. No performance issues with it on the BT, which really that's a better way to gauge the performance of that tractor, of it being on the vertical till, working that tractor instead of, I don't know, of it on the grain cart or on the grain drill. So, but no codes, no issues. After we got the IBT module replaced on it, no issues with the parking brake lever. Like I said in that video, $1,600 later and it drives like a brand new tractor. It should. But yeah, so that's 8530 is good. I think when I was going through the codes on the command arm, there's a light system code, but I know exactly what the deal is with that, and that's just because I switched the halogens out for LEDs for that Tiger Light kit, which I highly recommend. Go check out Tiger Lights if you guys are interested in doing any LED upgrades on any of your equipment. We've had great luck with them so far, and we run them on the 8530 complete kit on the S690. I still have to put that grain tank light in. I forgot about that. But yeah, complete kit on the 8530 and the S690, and also I'm getting, I guess, lights for the skid steer, and I guess LEDs for the LED headlights for my truck, which are plug and play. There's no reducer needed, I guess, on the Fords. At least for the years I gave them, they said I don't need a reducer. So my 2013 F-150 doesn't need a reducer, and the 2011 F-450 we're putting LED lights on, so, or LED headlights. So yeah, so they make LED headlight kits, plug and play. Sometimes you might need the reducer. It just depends. I would message them directly on Instagram and just ask them whether or not you think you would need it or not. So I don't have a promo code. I'm sorry, not yet. Maybe in the future. Promo codes for Midland, USA, tractor mats, and Outback wraps. So if you guys want to check all those guys out down below for WeatherTech style tractor mats for your tractor cabs, there's a promo code down below. Midland Radios, I believe that's a 15% off any order code. Highly recommend them. You guys see me using them all the time in the videos. Guys that are on the fence between an MX 115 versus an MXT 400. I get asked this all the time. Originally, we ran MXT 115s, and they're really simple to install. They're just plug and play as far as the cigarette adapter port goes. The MXT 400s, however, you do have to wire yourself. Not a big deal at all if you know what you're doing. But the range between the MXT 115 and the MXT 400, and this is using a 6 dB antenna and a 6 dB antenna on the receiving end, the MXT 400 for farm use is highly recommended. I mean, I would immediately run that. If you're on the fence between the two and not knowing which one to order, just go with the MXT 400 on everything. I'm going to put an MXT. Well, I'm probably not even going to put a radio in the skid steer. I'm probably just going to use the X talkers at that point. Yeah, so they make the radio styles like what we do or what we use, the CB style ones. They're just two-way GMRS radios, no license required. And then they also make handhelds, what they call X talkers. So highly recommend them. The Outback wraps, highly recommend them. A lot of you guys probably use zip ties for hydraulic hoses. We did also. They sent me some product. I tried it out. I ended up ordering like 4 or 5 more packs from them the next day after I got them. And yeah, so there should be a promo code, I believe, down below. If not, just message me on here, message me on Instagram or Snapchat, and I'll send you the code. I think that code is, I think it might be 15% off or $15 off if you order 4 packs or more. So, but I highly recommend them. They're really easy to install, and it really makes hydraulic hose hookup a lot simpler. So, all right. So, you're selling the S690? No, the S690 is going in for a road drive repair, which we're thinking steel on the turtle. They got to come out and do that anyways, and your connection is unstable. Please wait while we try reconnecting. So, all right. Well, that went away. Yes, we're all right. So that's the deal with that. So no, we are not selling it. Have I heard of Evansville, Indiana? Yes. Will we get a self-propelled sprayer? No promises, but we're considering. That's all I'm going to say. We're considering. Hayden, that was a complete joke about the case comment. That was a complete joke there between me and Eric. Hey, thanks for tuning in, Ben. We're not selling the S690. We're not selling it. It's just going in for a rotor drive repair. So what's the magnet mount you use for the GoPro? So saw that with Roush from. So I actually got this idea from Alex, and he got this idea from Welkers. Let me just grab it. These mounts, I got these on Amazon. So really simple. This whole setup here. This was Alex's idea that I got from him, essentially, who he got from Welkers. So if you go to if you type in on Google Werner Farms Amazon, it will come to a affiliate page for him. You should be able to find 95% of this stuff on his affiliate page. So go check that out. And you should be able to. He has magnet mount. Well, no, I don't think he has the magnet mount listed anymore. I found this magnet mount on my own on Amazon's website. Basically, I just looked up what did I can't remember what exactly I searched on Google for. But I think He might have something listed on his Amazon affiliate page for that. Possibly, don't quote me on that, but just go check out Werner Farms Amazon affiliate page, and Nick has a whole, I think like 5 or 6 different categories in there. You guys can go check out that he's made on there. So, uh, we own that combine. We bought that in 2018 on an auction on December 19th at Milford, Indiana, or Illinois, sorry, at Maury's auction at 7:32 at night, and for 100 and some thousand, it was 115,000, I believe. So, yeah, because we bought the 8530 at Steph's in Iowa at their Ag Iron auction. So we own the S series, that S690. Yes, we own that. Are we going to demo the X9? I don't know. Our dealer, I don't even think it had a chance at getting. Well, if they had a chance, they didn't get the X9, which I wasn't really concerned about getting the X9 just because that's not. I really don't. I don't know. If I had the opportunity, yeah, I wouldn't turn it down. But like our salesman and I were talking about the other day, he really doesn't see the need to sell an X9, and I agree with him 110%. So say he sells it to a guy in the area, and they trade it in to go to whatever is the next greatest thing after that, or another X9 identical to it, just to stay at a certain hour range, I guess. They who does he sell the used one to? You know, we couldn't even utilize an X9 to its maximum efficient, maximum potential. There's probably like, out of all the guys at farm, maybe like I would say 3% of the guys could actually utilize that to its full potential, I guess you could say. We're not even utilizing this S690 to its full potential. Realistically, all you guys say, well, you guys should have an S680. Well, an S680 would be a perfect fit for the operation as far as utilizing it 100%. The way we see the S690 after the past few years that we've run it, if you want to run hard, you can run and drop the hammer and run hard. It's the way we see it, it's not going to hurt by any means to have more combine than what you need. Now, am I saying that I want to go out and buy an X9 1100? No, because I'm not going to spend $850,000 on a combine versus what we paid for that. So, in 15 years' time, the way depreciation works, you could be potentially running an X9, I guess, but I don't know. It's just, depreciation in this day and age is just unbelievable. So, yeah, I've heard a lot of great things about the 8RX 410. I hope someday it would be really nice to try out any size 8RX. I don't even care if it's a 410, 370. I can't remember offhand all the sizes. I know there's a 410, a 370. I mean, those are really the only two I've actually really seen. I haven't seen any of the smaller ones, but if there is smaller ones, I haven't really been on John Deere's Build Your Own website for checking those out. But I don't know. I mean, it would be cool to try one out. There is a walk around video on this channel. I think at the beginning of this year, I believe it was, when I posted that, when our dealer got one in. So we're not replacing the combine. The combine's just going in for a couple repairs. So on the rotor, on the rotor drive specifically, there's a seal. We're pretty sure that's out, literally right at the tail end of harvest, and the air leak on the turbo. So it'll be back. I'm guessing If not this week, the first part of it, I'm guessing definitely next week. I'm just guessing. So, so some guys were actually telling me we should get a Kinsey 1050. A Kinsey 1050, I believe, is like right there at 1100 bushel. That would not be a step up. Well, I mean, like spec wise, it would be a step up, but it wouldn't be much of a step up from what we're at. Currently, we're at 1,000 bushels with that Kinsey 840 with the board extensions. And no, we did not install those board extensions. Those board extensions were on it when we got it at an auction, I think back in 2005. So, so really a Kinsey 1050 would not be a step up for us as far as really increasing anything. I mean, we still wouldn't be able to get 3 full combine dumps on that grain cart, and that would be my priority number one in a grain cart, being able to get 3 full combine dumps bushel every time on that grain cart, so 1,200 bushel. So ideally, like a 1,300 bushel grain cart would be ideal, just to have a little bit of a buffer room in there. So I guess like a Kinsey 1305 is actually a 1,500 bushel grain cart. So realistically, a Kinsey 1105 would be something that would be 1,300 bushel, I believe. So I don't know why Kinsey went to that. I think previously the previous models 1100, 1300, and 1500, which the 1500 is still called 1500. They didn't go to like a 1505 on that. But anyways, the previous models, I believe the 1100 and 1300 actually were what the bushel count was. Similar to like, John Deere's horsepower, Case IH's horsepower labeling on their model numbers now. 385 is 385 horse, or 8400R is 400 horse, engine horse, not PTO or drawbar. But yeah, so that's my theory on the grain cart. We're not doing anything with the grain cart for at least a few years now. I was just back on that. As far as what you guys thought, I know I just remember going through the comments earlier today, seeing one about the 1050 saying realistically you guys just need a 1050. But that's just my reasoning why there. So if I skip over your comment, I'm sorry, just because I might have not seen it, or just I got sidetracked on another comment and I just forgot to come back to it. So I'm doing my best here, guys. Where is the 4230? The 4230 is still around. You'll see it in future videos actually coming up. It's still in the shed, and we haven't done anything with it. Like I said, if we're going to do anything with a sprayer, I don't know 100% sure what we're going to do with that yet. So, and that's, again, like I said, if if we decide to do anything, we're just talking. We haven't done anything yet. So we're just considering. So I would recommend, if you're looking at a grain cart, getting a J&M 1432 grain cart, just like what Zach Johnson and his dad run. Yeah, Zach's grain cart, that 1432, I believe, X series, I believe it is. I think. I really like that. Grain cart wise, I like that. I like a Kinsey 1105 or 1305 on tracks. Next grain cart will be on tracks. I've heard a lot of guys say like a Brent 1396 or a Brent 1596. I really like the Elmers. The Elmers, especially just due to their track system. I really like their track system. I've heard a lot of great feedback on guys that have run them this year. So probably an Elmer's, whatever would be equivalent to a 1,300 or 1,500 bushel grain cart. Yes, the 8530 can pull a 1,500 bushel grain cart. So that is where I'm at there. And like I said, we're not going to do anything on that for a few years. So, but I'm just getting ideas from you guys. So unless YouTube just takes off here and then we'll be looking at doing something next year. But I think my priority, if something like that were to happen and this just takes off like crazy, bean planter, 15-inch row, 40-foot bean planter. That's my thought. So, can I talk about the 4230? Sure. What do you want to know, Austin? I actually have, if you want to know more about that brainchild of Dad's, there is a walk around video of it, of me explaining the whole setup of what Dad did. So, just a complete walk around video on that. That's all that video amounts to. But for those of you that are interested in that, just scroll back to, I think, 2019 videos, and I believe there should be that video should still be on there. So beans were terrible in this area. Beans really took a hit here in August. Corn was pretty decent, I would say. I mean, average overall, I would say. So how many hours are on the S690 right now? 3,000 engine. As far as separator hours go, I would have to check JD Link here real quick, but 3,000 engine. So would you guys upgrade your grain trailers first or add a third truck? You mentioned on a recent video how you guys were swamping your trucks. So this was a thought. We are considering that. What we would do is we would, if we were to do something on the lines of adding a third semi or doing something with the semis, we would add a truck before we did anything with our AgriTrader steel hoppers. The reason why is just because there's really, yes, those trailers are aging. Yes, they're steel hoppers. No, we don't haul in the winter unless it's clean enough. And what I mean by clean enough, I mean there's little to no salt on the roads, so that narrow window there when there's times where there's hardly any salt, if not no salt on the roads. So that's why our trailers look the way they do. And we try and keep those very well maintained for longevity purposes. What would be ideal is to run aluminum hoppers someday. My personal original opinion was run Timties. That opinion of mine got swayed a little bit after talking with Wilson. I'm personally now currently a Wilson guy over the Timties, just overall due to some structural designs that Wilson does compared to Timty. Some of you guys might disagree with me on that, but just my opinion, just by talking with the guys down at the farm shows and taking a closer look at the trailers and stuff on an afternoon down there when we were just trying to kill some time before the poll. So I think that was probably Saturday, I'm guessing. But which, by the way, currently I don't know. I haven't heard recent news on the National Farm Machinery Show, but what I've heard so far, just from dealing with the media passes and stuff that we do, or that I deal with them, the show is still currently going on. They're just trying to get approval as far as the crowds go and as far as the vendor draw goes. So they're still working on that. I don't know, it's not really my jurisdiction to really say, but I'm just telling you what I know. That's really all I know as far as that goes. I mean, it's still planning on going on. I don't know. I've heard that the people that have pre-ordered tickets, there's a boatload of people that actually pre-order poll tickets when the polls are literally starting back last year. Or, well, I should say back in February, not last year. But, when the polls are still going on, they're already pre-ordering. Or right when the polls get done, they're pre-ordering. I've heard that about 50% of those tickets have been returned. So I don't know if there's going to be an issue as far as or what they're going to do as far as social distancing there. But I don't know. It's going to be really interesting, and that's going to really. I have a feeling, guys, and I hate to say it, but I have a feeling it's not going to happen. I hate to be the Debbie Downer there, but I wouldn't be surprised. It doesn't happen, but um, yeah. So, but anyways, back to the semis. That's an idea that we're having. A third semi would be really nice with a hopper trailer. That's what we would do before we decide on replacing our current hopper trailers with aluminum hoppers. So, but that's it's just another idea we have. So we talked about this originally back when we first got this combine about hey Sheila, I really appreciate that. About adding the grain tank extensions and making it a 500 bushel grain tank. I believe that's what they would make it, 475 or 500, I believe. We decided against that just due to the added weight that you would be putting on that combine. I guess what we do, we figure not only the load carrying capacity for the tires, but just overall for compaction purposes. Technically, that combine, as it sets right now, is not spec'd correctly as far as tires go. And I've talked with a couple of guys that actually run Class 9 combines. They actually currently run, I don't know exactly the exact count of S790s they run, but it's an Instagram account down in the Mississippi Delta, and he's an awesome guy to talk to on there. And we got in an entire discussion about S790s and stuff on them, and it's quite interesting when you start figuring load carrying capacity that majority of the tires on combines are not correctly. Most combines are not correctly matched for tires for load carrying capacity. It's kind of interesting when you start figuring load carrying capacity on a combine for tires. When you factor in 10,000 pounds for a corn head, add 400, 500 bushel in a grain tank. Some of you would say, well, 100 bushel, what makes a difference? Well, when you do 100 bushel at 56 pounds per bushel, it's quite a bit of weight added. So that's why we have backed off on the idea of adding that 75 to 100 bushel addition to the grain tank. Some of you are going to probably are laughing at me right now about that and say we run it all the time. That's good, but we're just deciding that it just for our purposes and the best interest for our farm, we're deciding not to put that on. So some of you may disagree, but that's just our opinion on that. So what's the combine sitting right here on my desk? That is a S780 cast. So that is the 1/16 Ertl die cast combine. As far as the rarity of it is, Ertl actually destroyed the tooling for that after they manufactured them. And it's either one of 100 or either one of 500 or one of 5,000. One of the two, I can't remember. I believe it's one of 5,000. Retails for around $1,000 to $1,200. I ended up picking this up on eBay for $800. So somewhat of a deal. I just thought it was really cool, and yeah. So, bought a brand new gleaner. To be honest, Brandon, I don't even know the gleaner numbers. I think it's an S6. What was the one that you ran? You ran in what? An S67, I think it was. To be honest, I don't even know the gleaner numbers. I could be totally wrong on that, but you should do a farm equipment tour sometime to showcase all the equipment you have already on the farm. That's a future video, please and thank you. Nicholas, you are going to have that video here before Christmas. I plan on doing an equipment tour. I know I've been saying that for quite a long time now. But Nicholas, just because of that comment, no, I'm serious. I will have a video out on that. That was actually a plan for probably first part of December. So before we kind of get stuff moved down to the woods here, because I imagine we're probably going to be moving the excavator back here to the farm, because we might be tearing the track assembly off on one side to fix a tensioning spring on that for the tracks. So could be potentially doing a equipment video. If I did an equipment video this week, just looking at the calendar here, guys. I'm guessing if I do an equipment video this week, I'm guessing it will come out sometime the very first week of December, probably around that November 30th to December 3rd or 4th. So, but that is my plan, to get an equipment video tour out for you guys. Might be a 2-part video, might just be a 1-part video. I don't know yet. So, just depends on how that goes. So. Jeff, really appreciate it. Glad you tuned in. No, by any means are we even considering replacing the 8530. The 8530 that's not even a thought. So, a 1205, yeah, that's the card I was missing. I kept thinking about that when I was talking grain cards, Doug. Glad you brought that up. A 1205 would be an ideal grain cart for us, with it being 1,400 bushel grain capacity. So, yeah, so anywhere 1105, 1205, 1305, one of those three. But I would imagine 1205 would be a perfect fit for us. So, which I'm kind of glad they came out with that size. It's kind of a decent size. So. Yeah, you would need a 9620 RX on that, Chris. Or I think Larson's had a 600 quad on it, I think. Did we get done brush mowing? So we're actually going to be putting on the sidearm mower, or what we like to call the ditch bank mower. And important, Amazon apologizes. Our gift to you is this iPhone 12 Pro. Wow, good deal. I'm going to jump on that scam deal right now. The amount of scam texts I get, guys, is unbelievable. It seems like I get more scam texts than what I do scam calls now, it seems like. But anyways, we're going to be doing that here pretty soon, along with getting the excavator and the skid steer down in the woods and letting her rip down there. But yeah, that should be happening here. I would say right around Thanksgiving. I can't believe Thanksgiving is going to be not this week, but next week. It's crazy how fast we're moving through November. Aaron, the Midland giveaway, that was actually announced on my story on Instagram, I believe, about an hour ago. So I can't remember who the winner was. It was I really apologize if the winner's watching this stream right now. Chase Rogish. That's who the winner was on Instagram. So shout out to him. What kind of a new beast y'all going to get? So, brand new beast? No, it's just going to be the same old S690. Nothing different. Just going in for a rotor drive repair and air leak on the turbo. We don't have an 8420 for sale. We don't even have an 8420. Invested in 2X9s to lease out to a custom harvester. In a few years, I'll have the highest hour hard use equipment that's been maintained, but that I'll never be. That's a pretty good idea, Tom. I mean, that's a pretty cool concept that you've got going there. That's cool. Tom Titan trailers from Delhi, Ohio. I hope I said that, or Ohio. Sorry, Ontario. They just unveiled a new tandem hopper prototype. I currently pull a set of B10. I'll have to check those out, Jeff. Hello, Michael. Kent, Ohio area. I've heard of Kent, Ohio. Hey, David from Savannah, Missouri. Never heard of Savannah. That's cool. So, thoughts on the semi, Kenworth, or I'm down for a Kenworth, Peterbilt, or Freightliner. One of those three. So, Trail Rider, I really appreciate it. Glad you're tuning in from Idaho. So actually, we have the exact opposite, Tom. We have a whole bunch of blow sand. We don't hardly have. We don't hard. Well, we've got one farm that has some pretty good heavy ground. It's got some blue iron ore in it. But otherwise, blue clay. But otherwise, we don't have any heavy dark soil like what the guys do in Illinois or south of us in central southern Indiana do. So we actually fight compaction on our sands. You guys would not believe what our black sands will compact like. It's unbelievable. So we do fight compaction just like all you guys do in the heavy dark soil. So I was actually talking with a good buddy of mine that does trucking. He's actually been on the stream here at least one time, and they run all Mac round bottoms, and they haul lime, they haul sand, they haul 73s and 53s and slag. And he was telling me about this, that he thought Mac and East make hopper trailers, and he was actually going to look into that more for me. But yeah, so I'll have to definitely check that out, Michael. Combine left for some repairs, rotor drive leak, and air leak on the turbo. So we're pretty sure just the seals out on the rotor drive. So no combine inspection. We don't do the combine inspection. We do the inspection ourselves. So 956. I really appreciate it. Yep, that is correct, Ben. So, Austin, I guess elaborate on what you want me to talk about on the skid steer. I talked about this kind of in probably 2 live streams ago about how I acquired that, how much I bought that for. Well, I don't even know if I listed the price on that, but I bought that on an auction over in Illinois from AgPro. It's a 2016 333E. It has roughly 1,530 hours on it. Got an MDS manufacturing Iron Eagle grapple, so you guys can go on MDS Manufacturing's website or just type in on Google Iron Eagle brush grapple for skid steer. Got a set of pallet forks from them, and got a receiver plate for like a Reese hitch or a Reese ball hitch or whatever, and that works out really well. So yeah, I heard your thoughts on that, Brandon. I remember you telling me some on Snapchat about that the one day, and yeah. Would I ever consider demoing a Kubota tractor? If Kubota was open to it, sure. To be honest, large scale Kubota dealer, I don't know who would be our closest, but um, sure, I'd try one out. Yeah, I remember, Brandon. I remember you telling me about that when you started comparing it to your L2. I thought that was hilarious. So you're saying stay away from like an FLD 122 SD? Because my thought was that, or a 579, or a T880, or 800. Yeah, I'll have to go rewatch that video, Brandon, on that S67 because I haven't really been around them. Uh, the only really time I've been around them is down at the farm show. So, Glenda, how's it going? Glad you're tuning in from Arkansas. Thoughts on strip tilling and thoughts on deep banding fertilizer. I get asked this. I swear, every live stream I get asked this. It's nothing against the person that asked it. I'm just it's funny that every time I do a live stream I get asked this. Go back about 3 or 4 live streams, and I do a huge hour-and-a-half discussion on it. I kid you not. It's a big old hour discussion. Might even be 2 hours. On inline ripping, on strip tilling, deep banding fertilizer, our experiences, our thoughts, opinions. Some of you guys may totally disagree with, some of you guys may agree with. But a lot of no-till talk and cover crop talk also in that one live stream, might be even 2. But yeah, definitely go back a few and check that out. So. Problem is, ground here is worth a boatload of money just due to the fact that if it's a 40-acre and 80-acre field, you can put a pivot on it. We are the epicenter for seed corn production between Bayer, Pioneer, Remington, and that's really all I'm going to say there. And specialty crop production. There's to the south of us, they do black gold contracts. And what I mean by black gold, I mean black gold potato contracts. In our county specifically, they do red gold contracts, which are tomato contracts. We used to have green beans done in this area. The green bean guys pulled out about 8 years ago. The cucumber guys, or like what we like to call the pickle guys, pulled out, I think about 3 years ago. I do have pickle harvesting videos on my channel. That's not on our ground. We did not do any renting to them, but I do have tomato harvesting videos as well, and we do tomato contracts renting out to a tomato grower. So, but yeah. But that's the problem in our area. Our ground isn't Illinois ground, but it sells like Illinois ground. It's unbelievable. So, and what I mean by that, I mean anywhere from $6,000 an acre and all the way up to $12,000 an acre. And it seems like that 8 to 12 range is really catching the majority of our ground now, and it's really by no means nowhere near worth $10,000 an acre. So, but when you can put a pivot on it and swing seed corn, which this is just coming from me, I would much rather grow commercial corn instead of seed corn, just because one, I could have a higher yield I can put out a higher yield. I feel like I'm actually putting in my time and actually feeling good when, I don't know, I'm harvesting 250 plus bushel corn and realizing all the hard work I've done is paying off versus kicking back and receiving a check for doing seed corn and I'm not offending. I hope I'm not offending anybody that actually does work on, like, does the full line of seed corn production. I just feel that, you know, I should rephrase how I said this. I just feel with a guaranteed check for seed corn, well, it's not necessarily totally guaranteed, but it's pretty well guaranteed what you get. It just, I'm trying to think of a good way to phrase what I'm trying to say. Some of you guys probably understand where I'm coming from. I would much rather grow commercial corn just versus seed corn, primarily due to one, we physically can't with our operation, no seed company, and primarily we would only be working with Pioneer at this point. We're not allowed to do no tillage yet with seed corn, as far as I know, at least in this area. And I feel with the guarantees that guys get with seed corn, it's not unfair, but it's just because they do seed corn, so it gives them the opportunity there, so that's good. But I just feel I would much rather play the marketing game just like everybody else does. But they do play a marketing game in seed corn as well, marketing their seed corn. But I just feel with a guaranteed yield estimation there versus us actually putting in, I guess you could say, a little bit more nitty gritty details into our commercial acres as that goes. But I really hate to get into that. I don't want to bash any seed corn growers by any means. That is not my intention on here. I personally have looked into raising seed corn. I think raising seed corn would be a cool thing to do to get into the production side of seed. I think that would be awesome. But I just don't know if I like how the whole guarantee thing is done. I don't know. I just don't know if I like that. And plus, it just seems like there's a boatload of compaction you get by that. I mean, it just seems like there's a lot of trips across the field with the detosseler units, with the fungicide applications, the deroguing, the all the spray application. Well, I wouldn't say really all the spray application. It's just fungicide. But it's just, you seem like you'll get a boatload of compaction, and for the yield that you're actually guaranteed, which I'm not going to say anything because we don't do seed corn, but it just seems like you almost get a boatload of compaction, and I could do that same achieve that same guaranteed yield and have less compaction by the result. I mean, that's my biggest thing on it. Is just a compaction aspect. I mean, yes, with cover crops you can reduce that, but I just feel you got. I mean, I've already that's just my point on that. But I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not bashing them by any means. That was just my opinion as far as. I just don't understand the guaranteed yield. Why is there a guaranteed? There shouldn't be a guarantee. I mean, that's just my opinion, but I don't know. Yeah, I think Alex was telling me about that, about tortillas, I believe. I mean, that's kind of interesting. I mean, end user product. I mean, I don't know if it was a legit end user thing there, or if it was just like how they've kind of got a processing thing up at like America Maize. Well, most people know it by America Maize. I call it Sears Star. It used to be called Sears Star. I mean, we still refer to it as Sears Star. I mean, it's just a Cargill corn processing plant up there, literally on exit 1 of Indy, right there at the state line, right before the Chicago skyline there. There's right there in Hammond, a Cargill facility there for corn processing. But their biggest draw there is their waxy corn contract straw there. So So like I said, I'm not wanting to bash seed corn growers by any means. I think that's an awesome thing that we have a huge epicenter in our area for seed production. I believe Northwest Indiana in general is actually one of the largest seed production one of the largest seed production locations in the world as far as our draw goes. I know there's a bunch of blocks down in Illinois. There's a bunch of blocks in Iowa, but it's one of the largest. Including you get also one of the largest in Illinois, one of the largest in Iowa. But I'm just saying, we're just right there with all you guys as well. As far as seed production goes. But like I said, we don't raise seed. I just, like I said, don't understand the yield guarantee there. But I'm not diving into that again. Like I said, I'm not bashing anybody. I don't want to get on that side of things. Like I said, I'm just curious on that. Don't take anything the wrong way on here. This is not how we run the live streams and stuff like that. It's just good general discussion. So don't take anything crazy. So have you ever seen the 747 Big Bud? I personally have not. I think it would be awesome though to go and see it. So irrigation, the reason why LaPorte County, our county, is the number one county, the number one irrigated in Indiana, is because of our sands. And what I mean by sands, I mean literally you take Lake Michigan dune sand, that's basically what we're farming. I mean, literally, you look at the dune lakeshore map, we are literally farming the dunes lakeshore. Basically, I mean, and what I mean by blow sand, I mean if you work the ground, it's kind of like the down in it's like the Dust Bowl. I kid you not. I mean, if I remember in some of my videos, I should take the time and show you some of the fence rows about how heaped up and full of sand these some of our fence rows are, back when everybody used to plow and literally everybody's topsoil blew up into the fence rows. And there's literally one of our fields between us and a neighbor. Between him and us, we are literally hauling the sand off from our field. And what I mean by that is it's just from all the years that when we plowed, just like everybody else did in that time frame, and all of it just blew up into the fence line here. And so basically it's just a lot of our topsoil that we're just hauling away. Now, some of you say, why wouldn't you just spread it back on the field? Guys, this is like 0% organic matter. It's like zero, this is pure sand. We're not just going to go spread pure sand back on top of pure sand because it's pure sand. We're already dealing with it. There's no reason to just dump more sand out in the field. But so what we do is we put it to good use, say like on lane building, when we're building up lanes and stuff like that in some of our farms, or if somebody needs fill for like a building, or like when we built our building over there at our house, that shed, actually that fill came from a neighbor who was digging a pond. So what's the price of corn at now? Are we going to get into that discussion? Is this where the views are just, oh, geez, the views just jumped up 3 people here. Right as I mentioned the markets, my God. I don't know. I know it's still above 4. I can't get over this, guys. What do you guys think of this? It's unbelievable. Price of corn. $11 beans I never thought would ever happen. At least for a while. 411, up 1. Corn for September delivery, 406. That's cash. Port of Indiana is 5 cents over right now. Beans are, let me pull up beans again here. $11.50. And that's for January right now. September 21, I don't have anything for March, May, or July for beans next year because beans. So I don't really care too much about the spring and early summer there. I just have bids for September, November, and December. Or, well, September, November, I should say. I don't have bids for December just because, like I said, we don't store any beans currently. But next September, 1075, and beans are up 8 for September next year, and beans are up 2 for January right now. So I don't know. I don't know where this is going to go. I think everybody's kind of in the same boat we are, just trying to figure out where these markets are going to go. Sorry, it's at 412 now. Corn's at now 412. March is at 420, and May's at 425, and July's at 426, all up about 1, except for July. See if there's anything breaking over here overnight on markets as far as exports go. Nothing confirmed yet. See, the thing is on these exports, it's all just commitment right now. Nothing just like, there's not a ship that just gets dropped out of the ocean, or I shouldn't say dropped out of the ocean, dropped out of thin air, and just right in the water. And oh gee, tomorrow they're going to have a ship in at Cargill, up at the port. No, it doesn't happen like that. That's all 1, 2, 3, 4 years out projections as far as when they're coming and committing, fulfilling these commitments. So, all these trades are just being done off of export commitments. So seed corn's done by contract. Yeah. So tomatoes, we do not physically grow them ourselves. We rent ground out to a neighbor that raises for Red Gold. So any of you guys that use Red Gold products, ketchup, canned tomatoes, stuff like that, diced tomatoes from Red Gold, could potentially be from our field. Where's the pup at? Pup's in the garage right now, sleeping, hopefully. I don't follow cotton price just because cotton isn't grown in our area, so I don't even worry about the cotton price. I do have natural gas. I follow natural gas. I follow ethanol. I follow the gold price just because out of curiosity there. It was really interesting watching the gold price there this year. Gold is at 1,872 an ounce. And it was flirting around $2,000 an ounce, which that's crazy. Actually, it was over $2,000. Sorry, it was over $2,000 an ounce back. Give me a second here. Back 1st of August, it was over $2,000 an ounce. So just, it's not even going to show up. It's not even going to show up. There we go. So, dairy farmer. This can actually be, well, it's farm progress. Sorry, but I just have the Indiana Prairie Farmer edition, but it's farm progress. So, I don't really look at AgWeb for my markets. I use farm progress just because I can customize it the way I want. So, what I mean by that is, I have it set up like this. So I've customized that the way I want, so I can actually just look on here and see exactly like what I want, because sometimes you'll be able to see, like if you leave it on default, it literally shows cattle pricing, and I think there was like rice on here, and I'm like, I don't even care about cattle, hogs, or rice right now, because one, we don't even raise them, and raise any of that, and I really don't. It doesn't really. I mean, some would argue, yes, if you're a grain farmer, why don't you follow those two pricings as far as hog and cattle go? Well, it just it doesn't really pertain to me. So I mean, it doesn't. Well, in ways it does, in ways it doesn't. So I mean, it just I'm not really concerned about that. So, but some would argue that, oh my God, you got to watch that, and it's just like, I can guarantee you that 98% of the farmers that you ask right now, they would all agree that their biggest downfall or biggest struggle is marketing. So, and I'm right there with them. We're all right there with them. So, and I don't know, how do you market on a year like this? Explain to me that. Views are going down, guys. What the heck? What in the world? Do we need to get Eli on here from Iowa Dairy Boys and start stirring the pot here on markets? So what do you mean by split row planter? Are you talking 15-inch rows, Richard? Or are you talking split rows as in twin rows? Oh, so a Kinsey split row, a 1631 you're talking and stuff like that? Or a 1223 or 1224 or 1632? Peanuts, there's a lot of ground here. And yeah, I've heard quite a few guys I've talked to down south tell me about peanuts and stuff. So we use a 750 drill. So that's a series before, series or two series before the 1590. So actually, it's kind of interesting when you look at that. I'm not going to get into politics too much. This will probably be the most I get into politics. It's kind of interesting when you look at it. When you have a split Senate, or just about a split Senate, major legislation can't be passed, realistically, if there is a split 50-50 Senate or a slight advantage over if let's just say the Republicans carry the Senate slightly on the majority wise, major legislation cannot be passed, like the Green New Deal and stuff like that. So the way investors and stockholders see that as, they see that as a less risk. They see that as less risk for them because there is there's going to be a lot less major swings in the market as far as that goes. Because again, there's less risk in the market due to hardly any major legislation being passed. So, I mean, I'm not saying that legislation can't be passed. I mean, executive orders can change that, which that is a scary thought. But I mean, I'm not going to dive deep into politics, but that is probably as far as what I'm going to go into politics there. But I'm just saying that is a good reason why. And then also when you rope in the USDA report with year-end ending stocks there, as far as bushel totals go. But I mean, guys, what? Yields went down to 175, I think it was. 175 is still a record crop. And the market jumped. Okay, let's just take it back. Okay, I'm going to actually use real figures here. Let's take it back 3 months. How much did the corn market jump in the past 3 months? And I'm going to use current cash price, so December contract here. Corn price jumped. I mean, just looking at this here, it jumped. Current cash price is 412, and that's delayed. So 412, and just following it across here, looks like it's about 340. So 72 cents. That's insane. I mean, that 72 cents in 3 months, that's absolutely insane. So, I mean, this is my thoughts on beans. I mean, beans will hit $12. Whether or not it's going to stay there, I doubt. Put it this way, beans for next fall will not be $12. I can guarantee you that. I'm positive beans will not be $12. They'll be in the 11 range, I'm pretty sure. I realistically, I highly doubt that $12 beans are going to carry in the fall for next year. I highly doubt it. I mean, you know, it's just going to be like how the corn market was this year, looking back at, projections there, of a record corn crop flooding the market, blah, 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 turns around that we don't have the record ending stocks like what they projected in 2018 and 19. And now all of a sudden, that's why the corn market's jumping up, because we have low records or low stocks going in at the end of the year now. So it just, I realistically doubt it, just because a lot of guys are going to be heavy on beans next year, I'm pretty sure. Or I guess you could realistically say 75% of guys are probably going to be heavy on beans. So that's going to kind of offset the $12. I'm guessing resistance is you're probably looking at probably 11. Let me just look at cash price. I'm just resistant wise. I mean, let's just see where we're standing at now. September right now is at 1075. I would say resistance on that, you're probably talking to 1175, 1180 maybe. Thing is, China, I mean, they're in a world of hurt right now. I mean, think about it. I mean, they've been holding off as long as they can on their grain stocks, and all of a sudden now they're to the point that they needed grain last year, because like I said at the beginning of this discussion, as far as grain marketing goes, they can't just turn around and commit tomorrow and say X amount of million bushel and expect to ship million metric tons of corn and tomorrow and turn around and have a ship there Wednesday. That doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that at all. They are committing million metric tons. When they commit, they are committing a year, 6 months, year, maybe 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the road. So they're not, when they commit, say tomorrow, if they, if AgWeb or, Farm Progress has a news article and says, hey, China's buying more corn or beans, they're committing for down the road. They are not bringing a ship over for Wednesday. It just doesn't work like that. They can't physically even have a ship here by Wednesday. If it left the port in China tonight, that physically can't happen, so. But burn down for spring 21. So let's talk on this. I'm not going to talk rates because I don't want to dive into rates, but yeah, let's talk on this. I guess I heard Willie Dreyfus over here in Claypool. From what I heard a week ago, I think it was 25 over. Dan, you've probably heard, if Dan's still in here, Dan's probably heard on this. I think what I've heard from a local neighbor, they were 25 over. See, the talk down in Brazil has been pretty quiet. I mean, I know they've had some planting issues, both drought and some flood issues down there from the guys I've talked to online. But otherwise, the talk from Brazil's been pretty quiet. Yeah, I mean, it's a whole transportation backlog there as far as exports go, basically. I mean, it's just, that's why infrastructure in the Mississippi just needs to be revamped tremendously. I mean, across the U.S. just needs to be revamped, but that's just my opinion. So gramoxone and crop oil. So traditionally, we were doing a 2,4-D Roundup burn down, and we weren't really. And this is, and I'm taking this back 6-7 years ago. 2,4-D and Roundup, and then come back in and do Roundup again, and that was it. And we were getting by tremendously well. I mean, to the point where we had chemical reps coming out and saying, "You did what? And this is how clean your fields look?" Well, we know till. But we and that's not, and that's just a corn program. I'm not, beans are a little bit different, but we have been heavily using Trivents in our beans for pre-emerge. Trivents does an amazing job on residual for beans, especially for mare's tail suppression and water hemp suppression. Absolutely love Trivents. Now, Kyber, can't remember exactly how you pronounce that. It's either Cyber or Kyber, Kyber from Corteva. That has, let me grab the sheet. I believe the plant back date might be 8 months on that, 8 or 9 months for cereals. So if you're wanting to do cereal rye, for a cover crop, you got to watch that tremendously, because there's a plant back date on cereals. And so soybeans obviously 0. Corn 7 days. Yeah, 8 months. 8 months is the plant back rate or plant back date for crop rotation interval. I mean, you do get 3 modes of action out of it. I mean, it does sound like a really awesome pre-emerge residual, but I'm just really thinking we're just going to, we're going to stick with Trivents just because of the plant back date for if we want to have cereal rye out, which we do. I mean, my end goal is essentially to have 100% coverage with cover crops. So and so, I mean, the concern there is, I mean, if there's an 8-month plant back date, I mean, if you're spraying and say starting late April, 8 months, I mean, yeah, it's December, but if you're seeding cover crop cereal rye, and starting in September through November and sometimes in December, there's your issue there. So yeah, I mean, 20, 30 cents over. I mean, man, this was the year going into harvest, this was not the year to carry over beans. Get rid of them right away at harvest. Halfway through harvest, yeah, this was the year. At the end of harvest, this was the year to carry beans over. Nobody projected that we were going to have low stocks going, at the end of the year. Nobody projected this. Again, I mean, we have never stored beans. I mean, it's always been corn. Like I've always said, I mean, it would be nice to have another bin and have 2 dedicated corn bins and a dedicated bean bin, but that's the goal someday. And all right, this is interesting. What the heck is this? Had this posed to me. Where they got that from? Interesting. All right, I'm gonna have to message with the neighbor on that. The neighbor might have found the original owner of our 4230 that we have. Give me 1 second here, guys. This is kind of interesting. I might find out tonight where our 4230 actually was, or who the original. Well, actually, Dad should know who the original owner of the 4230 is, because it came from them on an auction. About the 4230. So this is okay. So whoever won the 4230 talk just got their wish. So the 4230. That was obviously not a high crop tractor originally. That high crop assembly came off of a 4440. That high crop assembly came out of Sikeston, Missouri from Boot Heel Ag Parts down there. The tires, I said in the video, you guys would have to go back and watch the video. The front tires, you guys just, to get more information out of that, you're going to have to watch the video, because without Dad not being here, I can't quite say everything exactly how it was done. But that high crop assembly is off of 4440. Now, a 4230 high crop was in production. 4230s were high crop. They did make standard, they did make factory high crops that were open station. This is a factory cab 4230, Sound Guard factory cab. When Dad bought this tractor back in, like the neighbors saying, in the mid 90s, which we bought this from a dairy, and this thing had, Dad can't remember the exact hour mark, but he remembers it was over 10,000 hours when we bought that tractor. When he bought that tractor, I should say. So if you ever talk to Keith Werner, could you ask him where they got their 4230 that was made into a sprayer? My grandfather sold one at his retirement auction in the 90s and was wondering if they bought it. It would be the right time frame, because Dad told me he bought it in the 90s, and it was, I believe, from a dairy auction, if I remember right. I mean, that'd be interesting if he tells me. Well, Dad, I'm pretty sure know who owns it, because I believe they were the original owner of it, of that 4230, that dairy. I believe what it did was it spread manure, which is why it had over 10,000 hours on it. I believe they might be the original owners. So what we do for cover crop, which that's interesting. I've never heard of tillage. Yeah, tillage. I'll have to check that out. We do primarily all cereal rye. We do a 4-way cover crop mix, which I did discuss this. It's a 4-way mix that I call the N-Fix mix. Well, I've deemed it, I've coined that name, the N-Fix mix, since it's kind of something I kind of came up with just by doing some research. But we did cereal rye, radish, crimson clover, and Balanza clover. And the Balanza originally is just going to be a 3-way mix, but then I added the Balanza clover just for that end fixing aspect that it has. But so I've been calling it the end fix mix. But that is what we did after tomatoes and after some dryland wheat. And both of the dryland wheat field is actually going to go into corn, and that's actually the same field that we're taking the woods out. So I'll actually have quite a bit of footage of that cover crop as it progresses through the winter. We're not getting rid of the 690. The 690 is going in for service work. Not doing a combine inspection. We're just having them look at the rotor drive, and I think it's a seal that might be out on it, and a air leak on the turbo. So we're not getting rid of it, but it will be back probably towards the end of this week, if not first part of next week. So, but that is. I will be showing you guys the progress of that throughout the winter. Obviously, it's going to go dormant here eventually here pretty soon. But the radish, holy cow, the radish took off, and it's unbelievable how big the radish are. So yeah, that's what we've done vetch now. Primarily a long time ago, and I mean a long time ago, probably about. I can't even remember back when we first started experimenting with vetch, but we had vetch back, I would say about at least 25 years ago. We were doing vetch, and we laced it with cereal rye, and we were harvesting it and broadcasting it. And we actually had volunteer when we quit with the vetch, which I can't remember our reasoning why we quit with the vetch, but when we quit with the vetch, we had volunteer vetch for probably 10 years, and we still have volunteer vetch really in spots. Nothing major, nothing that we can't take care of, but we were doing vetch and cereal rye for a long time there. Now we've been cover cropping for a long time. We just haven't done cover cropping like what we've been doing for the past 7 years on what I consider a large scale, like what we've been doing the past 7 years. We've been cover cropping for at least 25 years. And most people don't realize that in the area. I mean, I think just completely overlook that. But we've been cover cropping for at least 25 years with the vetch and cereal rye. Just we've never done it on a large scale, what I consider a large scale, like what we've been doing for the past 7 years, 8 years, really. So, what we were doing as far as cover cropping goes, I mean, we were looking at these sand fields. I mean, when I mean sand fields, I mean pure blow sand fields, like what I was discussing earlier, and doing your wheat, then following that up with cereal rye. And, just because there still isn't really a benefit on planting corn there. I mean, you're going to lose money if you plant corn out there, but, it just trying to rotate it enough to get it in the beans and stuff like that. I mean, eventually there's going to be a year you're going to have corn out there, and it is what it is. But what we started doing, and I mean, I told Dad last year, and I'm like, dude, we really need to sit down and realistically run the numbers and say, yeah, I mean, we didn't even have to run the numbers. It's just the fact that, why haven't we realistically thought about putting these fields in alfalfa? They're small enough that I wouldn't say 18 acres is an annoyance, because I know there's 5-acre patches and stuff, but I mean, we deal with a 15-acre patch, and it's really awesome ground. I mean, it puts out 230 bushel dryland corn like no problem, but it's the polar opposite on some of these other 20-acre and 15-acre fields that we own. And it's just like, yeah, we own the field, but it's pure blow sand, and you're getting like maybe 165 bushel in a good year on corn. So realistically, is it worth managing for that 1 out of 10 years that you're going to get 165 bushel corn versus all the other years that you're going to basically just lose your butt on those little sand knobs? And that 1 year is just going to make up for that, basically make it a wash for that 10 years. And he's just like, I agree. We should look at doing alfalfa on them. So that's why, I consider alfalfa a long-term cover crop. Some of you probably don't even consider that just because you guys do rotations with that into corn and stuff like that. But, I want to see that in cover, I want to see that in alfalfa for at least 7 years at least, if not longer than that on some of these fields, because some of these fields I don't even, the only time I want to rotate it out is if I absolutely have to. And all jokes aside, I mean, it's Pioneer alfalfa. So, I mean, it's going to last 15 years. And I'm not kidding you by that. I mean, 15 years, we had quite a few alfalfa guys that bought from us 15, 20 years ago, and the alfalfa still looks great. So, and no complaints. So, just my little tidbit for Pioneer alfalfa there. The alfalfa that we actually put out for variety wise for the guys interested, I would have to go back and look, but I believe it was like 55. Give me a second here. I'll grab a book. 55. It's not even in the book no more. I don't know. I believe it was 55 something. I can, if you guys absolutely want to know, comment. I can check my phone, but I believe it was 55Q something. Howard Riberty. That sounds familiar. I'm positive it might have been that guy. Huh. So should I send Matt your way? All right. I'm not going to get into that about the 2388. I don't know about the 2388, so don't ask me on that. I'm not getting into that. Do you run the Pilot of the Countryside channel? Yes. The Pilot of the Countryside channel, that is my drone business. So that is my business that I started back in 2016. So hold on, I'm texting with the neighbor. This is the same neighbor that rode with me on this 9RX. We're talking the 9RX right now. 55Q27, I'm pretty sure it was. Well, I'm not positive. I'm pretty sure that's a familiar number, but that might have been one of the numbers that we were considering. It's not, is that Roundup resistant or not? Because this isn't Roundup resistant. I don't think that would be because it doesn't have the H. Put it this way, we don't sell too much alfalfa, but the HVX, or sorry, it would have a V in it for a Roundup Ready. So it's not 11 here. It's 943. So, but anyways, let me finish a message in here with the neighbor. This is the same one that I'm pretty sure I sold that 9RX to. And the funny thing is, I'm not the salesman. You know, I'm put it this way: if I was a Green Mark salesman that day when he was riding with me yesterday, I'm positive he would have wrote me a check right there for it. I figured a 570 would be there. Yeah, a 620 I don't think is. I think that's too big for him. No, we're not getting a new combine, but I'm pretty sure I just sold a neighbor a 570 RX, even though I'm not a salesman. I thought he would jump on that 620. I knew. Put it this way, like I said, I'm positive he would have bought that 620 if I was a salesman. But he's telling me that. Well, I think we're kind of have like a three-way triangle here, texting conversation between me, the neighbor, and the salesman. Even though the salesman's kind of not in the conversation, but I'm pretty sure he's kind of right there on the other line there with the neighbor. But 55Q27 might be what it was. Let me just scroll back. I mean, all it's going to take is like 30 seconds to hear me just scrolling back. But I'm positive I sold that at least an RX, at least a RX. I'm not saying it specifically. Hold on, he's wanting to. We're talking price. He goes like the problem with green always is it always comes down to money. I'm gonna. Yeah, I totally agree with you, man. I totally agree with you. Oh, jeez, man, he must. All right. He's like, well, regardless, he goes like, it's all expensive regardless of the brand. He's like, I'm just kidding with you on the John Deere. He's like, I'm serious though on a 570. He's like, I really like the 570. He's like, I think a 570 is more our speed. I honestly wouldn't be surprised they jump on one. I mean, he was extremely impressed with the Gen 4. I mean, I was too, but I've never, from them running a case quad track and them when he came out and he's just blown away about this 9RX. I mean, I don't know. I mean, guys, what do you think? I mean, all honesty, I mean, I never even really heard your guys' opinion on it. What's your guys' thoughts on a case quad track versus a 9RX? He goes like, and that's used price. I'm like, yeah, brand new's around 550 to 600,000. He's like, yeah, I know. He's like, that's crazy. Dave, that is hilarious. The green paint came out first, and the money adopted its color. Oh my god. No, Ryan, I never did get that Milwaukee Impact. I have no clue what the deal was with that guy. I get weird snaps on YOLO all the time, dude. I probably 25% of them I don't even answer, honestly, because some of them are just flat out disrespectful, and some of them are just way out there. Really? So you guys are a long-term case guy, and when you went to the 9R or when you saw the 9RX and ran a 9RX, you were sold on it. That's really interesting. I mean, I was blown away on it. I was very impressed with it. Again, I mean, I've never run a case quad track, but I should hop on Greenmark and see what they even have for used. End up getting a tractor sold here, and I'm not even a salesman. Hey, that's fine. I'll take my commission check off the sprayer he's trying to sell me. That's why I texted him that night, and I told him, hey, I got your tractor sold. I'll take my commission check off the sprayer you're trying to sell me. He thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, I haven't seen the check yet for that sprayer. 9570. I have a 9570 RX. He hasn't responded to the absolutely insane comment. I don't know. 90. Yeah, they don't even have a used 9570 RX. So I don't know. I really hope they get a 9RX. That'd be awesome to go down there and see them have more John Deere paint down there because they're all case. Well, I can't say they're all case. They do have a John Deere tractor and a John Deere square baler, but an 8RX, 9RX is just as good. Green version of a quad track, just in green paint and a copycat. Yeah, it's they came out with an X9, X9 1000 and an X9 1100 with a folding 16 row, new style corn heads, and a 50-foot header. I'm not a salesman though, so don't like. Yeah, I'm not a salesman, but even though I might be selling the tractor, I don't know. I still say they should just jump on the 620. Just get the 620. Just jump on it. Come on. Then they don't even have to drive it back. Their farm's just down the road, so just drive it right to them. Nope, I don't have an FS19 map. Really? So it was the ride for you? Because that's exactly what he told me. That's exactly what the neighbor told me. He rode with me. He's like, "Are your fields smooth?" I'm like, "Yeah, our fields are flat." I'm like, "We keep them nice and smooth." I'm like, "Because of no-till, we don't want to have to go out here and work the ground." I'm like, "We want to be done once and done as far as working the ground goes to get them smooth." He's like, "But this ride's extremely smooth." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." He's like, "The cab suspension in this cab, unbelievable." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." I'm like, he's like, "How's it ride down the road?" I'm like, "You know that culvert that's going out?" I'm like, "You know that culvert that's going out?" He's like, "Yeah, I know the spots you're talking." I'm like, "I went over those spots." He's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know." I'm like, "But this was the only way to get to these fields." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "How was it?" I'm like, "Oh," I'm like, "You know how rough they are, right?" He's like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "How was it?" I'm like, "Oh dude, it was smooth." I'm like, "Unbelievably smooth. Like you couldn't even tell." He's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's unbelievably smooth." So DeWalt versus Milwaukee, we run all DeWalt. There is some stuff from Milwaukee I do like though. So I'm not bashing either brand by any means, uh but yeah, so but Larson's actually want a 9RX though. Um but yeah, I mean that I don't know. I don't know. Put it this way, I'm not buying one. I'm not buying a 9RX. I don't have that kind of money laying around to do that unless YouTube takes off and I have extra money. Extra money. No, 16 row head. I know we're gonna run this to around 10:30. 16 row head. Um, I could see us running one someday. At this current time, with our current operation, a 12 row is more than enough for us. It's not enough for the combine. Well, put this way, an 8 row was overkill for the 690, and the reason why we went with the 690 is a long story. At an auction, we were originally getting a 90. Long story short, we were originally getting a 9870. We ended up passing on the 9870 we were there for, even though it didn't sell till around 7 o'clock. It actually sold. Um, it actually sold after our combine. That when we bought the 690. So which I think that combine went for about $89,000, which that's about what it was worth. Um, the We ended up buying the 690 and we decided it's like, all right, we'll get a 12 row for it. We're not getting a 16 row for it. Ended up getting a 12 row for it. Long story short, here we are. So, but yeah, I would say someday. But our current grain handling setup and stuff, and with the amount of trucks, I mean, we can't deal with a 16 row right now head for our combine. I mean, I'd like to go to a 24 row planter someday in a very near future, but yeah. It's currently 9:56 here. So I'm on Central Time. I have morning chores in the farm, so all right, see you later, Tom. How's it shifting X's? I've heard that the 2017-18 models just lagged. Thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one that noticed this. Chris, well, you're just saying you've heard, but have you actually any of you guys have you guys drove a 2017 or 18? This is a 2018 that I demoed. A 2018 9RX on the shifting. It seems like it lags. It seems like it lags, and it seems like it shifts somewhat hard. I don't know if it's just me, but obviously, from what Chris said, it's not just me. I guess for the guys that have run those couple years there, what have you guys noticed on the 9RXs? Dylan, the combine's going in for a rotor drive leak and air leak on the turbo. So that's what is happening with that. So it's all about the mode you have it set in, because it seems like the way our salesman showed me the preferred way, or at least one of the options to run it, is when you're coming up on the end. So you got mode 1 and mode 2. So set mode 1 for your headland and set mode 2 for your infield. And so I had mode 1, I think, set at 6 or 7. Mode 2 set at 10 or 11. Originally was at 11, but I dialed it back to 10. And when you come up to the end, he said throttle about a fourth of the way back, or probably about a third of the way back, then click into mode 1, or click into mode 1 and throttle back, and just kind of make your loop. And he's like, when you get about 3/4 of the way through your turn, or about 2/3 of the way through your turn, click into mode 2, throttle up, then go. And I'm like, it seemed like when I was doing that, it just shifted awfully hard. Really. So in order to make the lag go away, you got to put a new sensor on it, or a new style sensor on it. Interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't even. Yeah, I mean, you'll see in the video. I mean, when I'm like, I got the most of my footage, or I'd say about 25% of the footage of the 9RX I got was FPV footage. And you'll see, like, when I'm coming up to the end, I'm still at that point getting used to that mode 1 and mode 2. And it just seemed like it shifted awfully hard. And there was that lag. That's the perfect way to describe it. It's a lag period. I mean, I'm not going to say what I actually did to the tractor at one point, but it was interesting what it did, put it that way, as far as the lag time on the shifting. It just was like, really? I mean, this is $500,000 to $600,000 brand new, like $500,000 to $600,000 tractor brand new, and it shifts the way it does. I mean, I'm kind of surprised, but yeah. And the only reason, guys, I mean, some of you guys are probably like, how in the world did you guys get a 9RX demo? I mean, the only reason we got a 9RX demo on it, I mean, I personally just wanted to run the 2660 VT. I didn't care what tractor it came on. I didn't even know the tractor that was going to be on it till the day before. And I knew about this demo for at least 2 weeks, and for the 2660, and from the get-go, I was told it was going to be an 8R, and nobody would tell me what size. And when the truck driver came out, when Gooch came out, he's like, "Hey, that 9RX that was on that 2660 that you're going to be demoing," he's like, "got sold. So I don't know what the deal is." And I'm like, "Wait, they had a 9RX on that?" He's like, "Yeah, it was a 9620 RX." And I'm like, "A 9620 RX on a 30-foot 2660? What in the world?" He's like, "Yeah, I know. It's overkill, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, totally." And he's like, when the salesman came out, I asked him, I pinned him down, and I'm like, "What's the deal? I thought it was going to be an 8R. He's like, "Well, I got it." He's like, "We put a tractor on it." He's like, "It's coming up from Winnemac." I'm like, "All right." I'm like, what's the tractor?" I'm like, "Is it an 8R? I'm like, "Is it a new 8R? I'm like, "Hey, is it an 8RX? He's like, "No, it's a 9RX. I'm like, "A 9RX? I'm like, "A 420? He's like, "No, a 620. I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, it's a 9620 RX." And I'm like, "Geez." He's like, "Yeah, well, we figured, you were going to be doing YouTube with it. So we figured instead of putting a 8370 on it, we figured put a 9620 on it." I'm like, "All right, I'm game. All right." So we never demoed a 8RX. Never. We've never demoed one of those. So it would be cool someday too. I know Larson's did. I think it was a 370 or 410, one of the two. That's really cool, Chris. So he's complained about it, really. I'll have to watch that video on that shifting, because I just, every person, I think it was like 5 or 6 neighbor kids that rode with me, and at least 3 neighbors, and they literally all said the same thing. One, that rode smooth, it seemed like, with the cab suspension, but 2, the shifting. They understood I was still getting used to the tractor, but they're like, "It shouldn't shift the way you're shifting it. It's like, it shouldn't act like that." And I'm like, "I know." They're like, "That just seems weird." All right. Well, we just passed the 2-hour mark here. We're going to wind it down. Any last minute discussion questions? Like I said, so new ones are perfect from the factory. Well, that's why I figured this one would be, but I mean, this one has 615 hours exact on it. So I put exactly 5 hours on it. But I was just surprised the way it shifted. But so any last minute discussion questions? Like I said about the 9RX and the 2660 in the beginning of this stream, I will have that video coming out on Thanksgiving Day. There will be a new video tomorrow, a new video Tuesday, a new video Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, another live stream Sunday, 6 new videos all next week. And at that point, guys, I am not sure beyond that. I don't have videos. I should have a video filmed tomorrow for the 27th, and I should have a video or 2 filmed for the 28th and the 30th later this week. But beyond that, one of those or maybe 2 of those would. I got Noah Pointer in here. How's it going, dude? Haven't talked to you in a while. It's been a long time since I've talked to you on Instagram. I was actually going to be messaging you here probably in the next couple of weeks about your Sony camera. So, I messaged with you about that before, but I was going to hit you up on that here pretty soon, actually, on your new one that you just got. So yeah, I'll be messaging with you this week on it. But but yeah, I don't know on an equipment tour video. I mean, technically, I have an equipment tour video out, part one, and it's actually farm tour 1 and 2. I'm not going to scrap them. All I'm saying is I'm going to do updated ones. Partly because the office wasn't involved in that, and two, the office actually has a video. I filmed that not too. But updated farm tours, I doubt this winter, but possibly, if not definitely, next summer. Equipment tour, I'm guessing, like I said, beginning first week of December. I'm guessing probably around the third or fourth. So who knows? I don't know. It's hard to plan 2 weeks out. You can't even plan for the next day. So what do you think about being on the Peterson Farms music video? I'm surprised nobody's brought that up before. That was kind of interesting. It was kind of, I'm not even going to dive into that portion of it, but the reason why I was on it was because I'm actually a Pioneer seed influencer. I became an influencer with them just out of, I approached them actually on it because I came out of a Pioneer meeting and they were talking about the influencing and stuff. And I don't know, it seems like our sales district, they kind of make fun of me about the influencing. And I'm like, hey, it's what pays the bills, really. I mean, I don't know. It's a little bit of side money here and there, but I mean, it's well worth it. And I don't know. It's just all about building your fan base. And once you get to a certain what I feel, once I get to 100,000, it's just, it just will come a lot easier after 100,000. I feel, it's worth it now, and it's going to be much more worth it after 100,000 followers. But it's just, they were poking fun about it, and I'm like, well, I'll see what I can do with Pioneer. And actually, I messaged Pioneer, and they were actually working with me or wanting to work with me the past couple of years, and it just never aligned perfectly with their marketing year end. And they actually, when I messaged them, they said, yeah, we want to get with you and we want you to promote. We were going to get with you anyways here and wanted you to promote along with a few other guys on Instagram and also on YouTube, the Pioneer Seed podcast or the Pioneer Tour podcast. So I'm like, all right. So, which by the way, go check that out. I actually had the link down below in my description, but they all of a sudden, it was halfway through harvest. I got an email from, I think it was Greg Peterson, who emailed me. One of the Peterson boys emailed me. I think it was Greg. And he's like, hey, and this was an email to all the influencers from Pioneer. Hey, I need you guys to record this and this, blah, 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 for this music video and say it like this, blah, blah, blah. And you guys are going to be in a music video. All right. I did my part and sent it in, and I'm like, music video, how's this going to turn out? I don't know. I don't know. And when they released it, it's cringy on my part. From my perspective, just from seeing it, I and how I filmed it, it's kind of like, well, why didn't I say it like this? It's just like, I didn't know. It's like, you told us to say it like this, but hey, I'm not complaining by any means. I mean, it's just cringy on my part to look at myself and say, I'm in a music video. What in the world? What in the heck? This is, but that's it's pretty cool. So that was pretty awesome working with them. And I don't know what all Pioneer has in store. But speaking of influencing, for the 157 people that decide to stick around this long, kudos to you guys, because you guys are going to get a little sneak peek about what's going on with me and John Deere, along with another fellow YouTuber that I'm not going to say his name or their name. And there might be another person. There is another person. I just can't remember his name off the top of my head. That he's not. I don't think he's a real well-known one. this third one that that I'm talking about, but the second one, 95% of you guys watch. And I got an email recently from Social Media John Deere. This is directly from corporate, wanting my mailing address and contact info. And it happened 3 weeks ago on a Friday night. No, Thursday night, sorry. Friday night. And they emailed me and wanted my contact info and my mailing address. And I messaged a fellow YouTuber down in Indiana and talked to him. And he's like, I got the same email. I'm like, really? He's like, but it was worded slightly different, but it's the same thing. I'm like, really? He's like, I think it's a scam. I'm like, I don't think so. I'm like, so I messaged him on Instagram, and I already emailed them. I emailed them the information because I'm like, you know what? This is corporate. This is legit. So I went ahead and emailed it to him, but followed up with an Instagram DM and said, hey, this is so and so. I got this email from so and so from social media at johndeere.com. Is this you guys? And plus, if so, here's my contact and mailing information. Also, even though I sent it to you guys, they replied back and they said, yeah, this is legit and blah, blah, blah. And they said, we'll be sending you the package in a couple of weeks. And I'm like, all right, so it's not an 8RX unless they consider that a package. But so I with him back and forth again, and he's just like, well, what do you think it is? And I'm like, I don't know. If you guys go and watch John Deere's recent post, unless they posted recently, it's called the Run With Us Field Report. Go check that out. They have a video, and there's some clips of a GoPro Hero, I believe a GoPro Hero 8 in a briefcase or Pelican case, it looks like. Most of you guys don't even know what a Pelican case is, but the few camera guys in here know exactly what I'm talking about. On their Instagram. I don't think it's on their YouTube, but it's on their Instagram. They've got a Pelican case, what it looks like, with a GoPro Hero 8, and it's just a couple quick shots of it. I don't know what they have in store, but I told the fellow YouTuber in Indiana, I'm not saying their name, that I'm positive they're sending us GoPros. He's like, but for what? I'm like, obviously they're wanting us to film for their IGTV, in their YouTube, in their Facebook, and anything else. I'm like, you know what that means, right? And he's like, think of the traffic. I'm like, yeah, think of the traffic that they're going to be driving to our channel. He's like, dude, this is going to be a game. I'm like, I'm not saying it's actually legit that we're getting GoPros. I'm like, could be totally different. Could be a hat. He's like, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, that was my first guess when I first saw the email. I'm like, they're wanting to send me a hat. But they don't ask just for your contact info for no reason and follow that up with a video that they post on their Instagram and hint towards they're sending out GoPros. I don't know what they have in store. As soon as I know anything, I will be making a YouTube video on the package, obviously, when it arrives, but it's going to be very interesting. Okay, that's pretty cool. From New Holland, that's pretty cool. I even approached our John Deere salesman about it, and I'm positive he knows what's going on because he kind of was like act shocked about it, even though, well, I'm not even going to go that route, but he didn't even act shocked about it. And he goes like, well, John Deere's fiscal year just ended recently. I'm like, well, true, but I'm like, but what do you think it means? He's like, well, their fiscal year for marketing just ended, so they got a bunch of marketing cash just laying around, and they want to invest it back in you guys because they feel that you guys have added value. And I'm like, well, I agree. I'm like, I have added value to Greenmark too, and I kind of hinted that towards him. He's like, yeah, And I'm like, dude, 21,500 followers isn't nothing to joke around with. That takes time and effort and to build that. And he's like, well, I understand. And I'm like, but we're not going to go any further on that route. But that's kind of what is going on with that. I don't know what they have in store, but me and a couple other fellow YouTubers, some of you follow them, one of which I know most of you guys follow, are going to be working with corporate John Deere here. I don't know exactly what they have in store. All I know, I'm pretty positive we're getting GoPros, and it's going to be something to do with their Run With Us field report. I don't know, again, what they're planning on posting and stuff like that, but I did, if you asked me this 5 years ago, I would be laughing at myself saying, yeah, there's no way. But here we are. I'm dumbfounded on it, so yeah. So all right, so any last minute discussion questions, and we'll go ahead and sign off. If you think you know who it is, don't go to them and start hounding them, please, with questions and stuff. Again, I wanted to keep this kind of under wraps as far as who the other fellow ones are, because I don't know how they're going to go about presenting it to you guys. So please don't go hounding the other ones if you think you know who it is, who I was referring to. I just, like I said, I don't know how these other ones are going to plan on presenting it to you guys. I feel totally comfortable with you guys presenting it from my channel for the stuff that John Deere's wanting to do with my channel potentially. I don't know, again, how they plan on presenting it to you guys. So I that's why I left their names out of this, all the other fellow ones. So, but yeah, so that's kind of what's going on here. So I'm guessing it could potentially be this week, if not next week, when I get the package. So Snapchat will see it first. Hate to say it, but Snapchat will see it first. I get caught up on Instagram posts here. So no, I did not go to college. Online Purdue classes. They're Ag Essentials, Precision Ag, and Nutrient Management. I actually didn't even do the Precision Ag one. That was actually the one I was most looking forward to, but oh well. But I can take it whenever. So, and they were $2,000 a class, 2,000 or 2,500, one of the two. A GoPro and a 9RX case. Ha. Yeah. We've been done with harvest. We've been done with harvest for at least 2 weeks. What's the Snapchat? Here, I'll post it for you guys. So the Instagram and the Snapchat are the same. Well, if it's, I'll just do it this way. They're both the same, just the Instagram has obviously the app for it. So at Werner_Farms. So there you guys go. No, just kind of keep it under wraps, guys. I mean, again, I didn't say the names because, like I said, I don't know how they're going to present it to you guys. I'm totally okay with presenting this to you guys from my perspective. But again, I'm not going to name the names of the other channels just because it's not right for me that I talk to them, and I'm not going to jump the gun for them. But it's something that you don't want to pass up. You don't want to pass this opportunity up. It's kind of pretty cool. So that spray trailer is going to be completely overhauled. It's not even going to look like, it's going to be interesting what we end up deciding to do with it when it's all said and done, but we will have a new van trailer, not brand new, but new van trailer to replace that. So grain cart for the future. That'll probably be the last question. We'll do that one. Probably 3 years down the road. I'm just guessing. Crops. Chris, you're going to be the last one. What kind of crops do you grow besides corn? Soybeans, Wheat, we don't have any winter wheat this year. What I mean by winter wheat is when it is planted in the fall and harvested in the summer. Spring wheat, you're going to have to follow Nick Welker and all of them to figure out on spring wheat. I would rather if you guys just go and follow them and watch their videos to learn more about spring wheat. So, but we grow cereal rye for cover crop seed, soybeans. I probably already said that. We have some alfalfa now. We don't do anything with the alfalfa just because we rent those fields out and we don't have any use for the alfalfa. Some argue that why don't you sell the hay? I just don't want to mess around with it. And we don't have the current equipment without going out and buying stuff to deal with alfalfa. So it's just much easier to rent it out to a local grower and neighbor and also good friend of ours who actually needs the alfalfa and hay for their cattle operation or their meat business. So Chris, you must watch the video then. I mean, I would highly recommend all you guys go check out their Instagram posts on the Run With Us field report because it is going to be pretty interesting what they decide to do. So, all right. Well, I really appreciate all you guys tuning in. Like I said, videos every day, Monday through Saturday and Monday through Saturday next week. Live stream next Sunday and the following Sunday. And then videos, I imagine, are probably going to go down to 2 or 3 a week at that point. So that is new planting tractor, not for quite a few years. So that is where I'm at on videos. It's just kind of going to be, I don't know, it's just going to be real all over the place wild card this winter on how basically on projects and stuff like that. And who knows? So anyways, thank you guys for watching as always. Glad all of you guys tuned in tonight, and I'm glad a lot of you guys hung around for as long as you guys did. If you guys watched the entire stream, kudos to you guys. Be sure when you leave, give the stream a like. New video releasing tomorrow, I'm guessing is sometime around 8 o'clock in the morning, so Central Time. So anyways, thank you guys for tuning in, and I will catch you guys next Sunday in the next live stream and see you guys tomorrow around 8 o'clock in the next video. Thanks for watching.